Break out the champagne. Everybody get a laugh. Let's start it off sexy. And all the ladies say. And all the ladies say. I think I like that. And all the ladies say.
Welcome, Barbie,
Champagne
to
light.
Champagne and Conversations. What's up, girl?
What's up?
Cheers to
Here.
you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I'm well, thank you. Holiday time, we're excited, ready to talk turkey, eat turkey, then go work out, all that great stuff, I guess. Maybe not, somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between for me.
Somewhere in between, yes. Are you ready for the holidays?
No, because to truth be told, Thanksgiving is my least favorite holiday.
Is it?
It is. It really, really, really is.
Well,
And
if it
that's
makes you feel any better, it's probably mine as well. My
eh,
least favorite.
it's the time where everybody just want to get in your business. And 2020 has been an especially hard year. It's an election year. I'm not trying to fight my cousins over who they voted for or did not.
Oh, that's what the topic is going to be. Not what the fixings are, but just what the election was like.
No,
Okay.
it'll be more than that too. I mean, of course, that's when everybody that you don't talk to all year long, you around the table, and they're like, "Girl, what's going on in your life?" And I'm like, "Girl, you could have called me the whole rest of this time of the year, the holiday
The
season,
whole pandemic, you could have called me.
the whole pandemic." Okay, like
Yes,
listen, the holiday season is not to get in this like deep in nobody's business
I hear you.
at the
Are you
holiday.
in the restaurant right now, or what are you doing?
No, I'm actually getting ready to move, to relocate to Pensacola.
Okay.
I stopped doing restaurants this summer. COVID is a thing. And Philadelphia, a lot of restaurants are shutting down for good, unfortunately, and then voluntarily closing for the winter to
Okay.
get through the storm. And so I said, you know what? I don't even like winter. So let me take my butt right on to Florida for a few months and gather. So a friend of mine is starting a business there. And so I'm gonna go help her start her business.
Well,
And that's
congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Barbie Marshall, celebrity chef. You all may know her from Hell's Kitchen. She did keep up a little hell, but we love her anyway. We had to give her a little grief for that, but we know she has major personality, a lot of skill as it relates to the industry. And we respect and love all that you're doing. Of course, with COVID, things have shifted. So here we are. Are you doing any private chef for any clients right now?
so with the move, no, I'm not. So I'm hoping to pick up some when I get to Pensacola.
Okay.
Um, Still with being very careful because I feel a little bit more secure in doing private clients and meal prep and contactless delivery and things like that, as opposed to the hubbub of a restaurant where you're still at the mercy of a stranger and whether or not they choose to come out while ill or if they don't know that they're ill. So
Okay.
I feel a little bit more comfortable with being able to trace who and where I've been so that I can provide my clients with that security because
Yes.
I'm not going anywhere except to buy food. And so, you know, there's 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 a responsibility to track your own movements. And so that's what I am committed to doing is being responsible because I'm a person first. Before I'm a professional, I'm a person. I have kids, I have grandkids, and so I have a responsibility to my family to be here and as safe as
Sure.
possible because I would
Absolutely.
see them. I would like to see them healthy also. So
Yes. Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
Now,
I
have you had any clients or any family that have gone through the COVID?
a little bit more personally, I have had it myself, but that was in February. And
Oh,
so
before we knew, before your president explained to us what was going on. Okay. So
before
tell
there
us about that.
before there was an explanation as to what was going on,
Okay.
I woke up one night with a cough that I had never felt before. And yep,
Wow.
I smoke. I'm about to take a drag off this cigarette, y'all. I do smoke. And when I tell you, as a smoker, I woke up with a cough in the middle of the night. It was like 3:30 in the morning, and a cough woke me up out of my sleep. And I was like, this is nothing I have ever experienced. By
Wow.
8 o'clock in the morning, I had deemed myself a walking death bomb and canceled my appointments for the week. I said, I don't know what this is, but immediately by 8, I had put in all my calls for all my appointments and all my clients and say, hey, listen, I don't know what's going on, but whatever this is something I have never experienced before. And I'm canceling everything for the week, tentative to what the doctor says. And so at that point, I still thought that this was something that I could make an appointment for. But somewhere between 8 and noon, the symptoms got so much more work. I had to put out an SOS for somebody to come get me and take me to the hospital. And I already was wary enough to say, you know what, let me put on a mask because I don't want to make anybody else sick. So I called my youngest daughter to come get me. I don't feel comfortable enough. I'm weak driving. Had my mask on, went to the hospital, and they said, oh, it's just the flu. It's just the flu. I had a fever of over 102.5 for a week that would not break with Motrin, would not break with Tylenol, would not break at all. I could barely keep any food down. And speaking of down, what wasn't coming up was going down. It
Mm.
was absolutely insane. And then on top of all of that, I just kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker and trying to eat things and trying to stay hydrated. And the first thing that I noticed was I took a sip from Pedialyte. I just got some plain Pedialyte. I took a sip and I bust out in tears. It was like drinking snot. I did not know what this taste was. Why had it? Have I ever had a cup of Pedialyte before? Is this what it?
I was gonna say that or the other. Have you ever had a cup of that? I don't think so.
And it's entirely possible that I had a cold or something and attempted to hydrate myself, but I didn't think anything of it. And then my son made me a can of soup. And I took a spoon of that soup and I started fussing, y'all. I was like, what did you put in this? I don't
Mm.
appreciate it. He was like, no, I just seasoned it a little bit because, canned soup doesn't have any flavor. I was hot. I was
Mm.
hot. And it never, because we had not heard anything about COVID. So it was months that, like, first of all, it was weeks before I felt fully recovered. 3 weeks to be
Okay.
exact. I had to take myself back to the hospital. I had to go back on COVID, on IV. I had to go on IV fluids just to bring my temperature down. Nobody could tell me anything. Oh, well, you tested positive for the flu, so that's what it is. Okay. I'm trying to tell you, I've had the flu in my life. I'm 43 years old. This is not what is happening to me right now. Well, by the time I fully got to about 85%, it was 3 weeks before I
Wow.
found 85% back to myself. I still was being super careful, and I decided that I was going to go back to work, preparing food for people, doing a little bit of stuff. And as soon as I made that decision, the entire world started shutting
All
down.
about it.
And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, there was COVID. And then one of my chef mentors developed COVID. And he was one of the very first people tested and one of the very first people that came up positive in his county in New York. And the only reason that he got tested was because he was Chinese. And so he has not been to China. He had not been around anybody in his friend and his family. He lives in New York and his family is in Pennsylvania. But they were a little bit
Wow.
biased to him because the number
Yes.
45 was in office talking about it was the China virus. And so they gave him a test instantly. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital. And we had been talking because I was like, I had this thing happen. And I encouraged him to go to the hospital because everything that he was telling me was going to be true. And I was like, I don't want to be the one that has to go to the hospital because I don't want to be the one that has to go to the hospital.
Yeah, we may have
And
lost her.
I
You
was
froze,
like,
Barbie.
and find out that if you had it, as if you had to tell me that that was the deal, because by that point I already knew. Okay, so I had this thing that you didn't tell me about. And we have friends in different industries, and I had a friend in the private the private plane industry. She is a private airline stewardess, and she knew about coronavirus
Right.
because of that. And
Yeah.
so when we got to talking, she was like, I've known for months because the
Yeah.
international news has said this is what's going on, and it was hidden from us.
Right. Well, yeah, France, they started closing down long before. And even some of the other countries, I want to say maybe even China or Germany, one of the two, December, they were wearing masks.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely we were behind the eight ball when it came to our knowledge of it. And then of course
Like
addressing it, like you
handling it.
said, and you're not the only story that we've heard from individuals thinking that it was just the onset of a flu and then it ended up being blown COVID and not knowing exactly what, obviously not being able to treat it. Now, were you taking like regular over-the-counter medicine?
I was trying to take over the counter medicines. I'm really not a big over the counter medicine kind of person. I believe in foods that heal.
Okay,
And so this wasn't like, oh, I have a cough, I have the sniffles, I can take some NyQuil. So I didn't even try to take things that weren't applicable to how I was feeling. I just didn't feel like NyQuil was really going to help. This wasn't
okay,
common cold, so I'm not going to take medicine. What I really wanted to address truly was that fever, because the fever means that you have an infection, you have a
action.
virus,
Mm-hmm.
and your
Mm-hmm.
body is trying to fight. And my body was given a good fight. And I'm also a woman of a certain age, so I had to go. Is this night sweats?
Right.
Or
Now,
is
were you taking any of the, kind of natural vitamins, anything like that? Because we know that elderberry and high dosages of vitamin C will also assist the alkaline water. So were you doing any of that?
like lots of vitamin C? I always try to do alkalinized water,
Uh-huh.
all of that. But it was just something that my body had to adjust to.
Right. Right.
You have to give your body time to heal and fight it. And
Yeah.
so I
Were
just
you weak? Because I've heard that they've said that it really, really kind of, keeps you from having any kind of need to want to move around or anything like that. So did you feel weak like that?
I was in bed for a week. I went from that day getting my daughter to take me to a hospital, being in the bed in the room by myself with a mask on, just slide some food to me like Miss Silly did when Suge was sick. Slide it through the door. Don't come in here. Don't. Like I was absolutely weak, and I was so weak. When I say that it took me 3 weeks from start to feel 85%, it is that weakness that I'm talking about. I had no strength
Okay.
do anything because
Wow.
I was dehydrated. I really could not keep food down, and just the my body had to fight it. And so I am probably the worst when it comes
And
to.
we're thankful that you're here and everything is fine and you were blessed and able to come out of that. So to say the least, wearing the mask is extremely important to you and your family.
It
Yeah.
is extremely important. It
And staying home if you can, but now you're of course traveling for another reason. So I'm assuming that you're safe as well in terms of
I
your,
am. I planned my stops accordingly. Like
yeah.
I I'm at my friend's house. She's all about social distancing. She has a teenager here. So I literally went from home, drove to, she is, the trip to Pensacola is a 20-hour drive.
Okay.
I'm at the 10-hour mark. Next stop is 10 hours from now in Pensacola. And then when I get there, I'm going to be sequestered in my own little room.
Yeah, because you do
But
have to do that for a few days, just in case.
yes,
Well, we do appreciate you stopping to have a conversation with us and also to share with us one of your, well, I think that this recipe is very necessary for any of you guys that do enjoy Thanksgiving and love the traditional side of Thanksgiving. There is something that we like to refer to as a gelatinous mess, which is cranberry sauce. Like, what is this that you get in the can and you open it and you slide it off onto the plate and you cut it so evenly and people put it in the middle next to the turkey, right? Is
no,
that what we do?
That's not
That's
what
what we grew up. That's how we grew up. Come
I
on.
didn't grow up that way because my mom didn't even like cranberry sauce. So she was like, nope, none of that.
Listen, the can was everything. I know someone agrees with me. They know about that can.
Now I did have an aunt. I do have an aunt, and she makes her own gelato.
Yes. So that's why we have you here. Can we please save the day and make some real cranberry sauce?
So there are two different ways that you can do this. Now there's my auntie's method where she cooks the cranberries in water with sugar, strains it, and puts it in a jar instead of a can, which is called canning. So you can get yourself a little 8-ounce jar or even a little 4-ounce jar. Put your liquid into that, and then cranberries have this gelatin. They automatically become gelatinous. There's nothing that you have to add to make that jelly form.
Mm-hmm.
So she makes that kind. Now, what I do is cranberries, water, sugar, the zest of an orange. You cook that, allow it to cool. Toast yourself some walnuts. This is optional. Chop them. When it's cool, fold those in, and I make what you would really call a cranberry chutney. So it still has texture. It still has the meat of the cranberry, some of the seeds of the cranberry, and it is not that jello jelly jiggly
That
stuff.
horrible can. So
No,
now are you using fresh cranberries or are you using the dried cranberries?
actually, you can use the fresh cranberries and additionally add some of the dried cranberries. So what you want to do in that case is rehydrate those dried cranberries. So you want to put them in with the cranberries and as everything is cooking so that they soak up some of that water too. And the flavor comes out into your liquid. So
So
you
the
add,
real cranberries, the dry, and mix it in water, add sugar. And
mhm.
I will have this recipe up for you all after we are done here. But you add sugar and then a zest. So we're just peeling well, for those that aren't in the culinary world, the zest is what of the orange?
The zest is not the peel of the orange, actually.
Okay.
The zest is the color of the citrus because the peel actually has two or almost three layers. So think about when you break into an orange, you see the orange, the rind, right? The very orange. A little bit deeper, you have pith. It's very thick. That is very, very bitter. So you don't want any of that bitter part. And then it's like a little thin layer that you usually have to peel off the orange. You know what I'm talking about before you get to the segments. So all that fibery stuff, we don't want any of that. So you can take yourself either a vegetable peeler and peel off strips of the orange, but don't peel so thick that you take the white with it. Or
Okay.
you can get a microplane and just get some zest off of there and put it in. Now, if you put the strips of peel in, I recommend you take them out later because when you make things like that and they have whole pieces of stuff in, people tend to eat them and then they find it very unpleasant and they don't know that they're supposed to eat around it. It's kind of like when you leave a whole hot pepper in a stew. Now, if you're from a Caribbean family, you know that that's optional. If you take the pepper, you know what you're going to get. But if you're
Right.
from a Caribbean pepper or a Caribbean family and you take the whole pepper, you're going to be in for a surprise because it's going to be hot and it's going to be hot.
Right.
And it's going to
Okay.
pop that whole thing in your mouth. It's going to be a party
Going to be a party.
and not one that you
Absolutely.
truly want to attend. So I'm
Well, well, thank you for the party because we want to attend that better party with the cranberry sauce as opposed to the other, not to take away from, I think it's like Ocean Spray or something, but I mean, yes, we grew up on it, but yes. So we're going to do the fresh cranberries. You're going to do the water, add the sugar, the zest. Now, for those of you don't have those fancy little instruments that she just
There's a
spoke
box
of.
grater on the box. So your box grater has sides, right? So the front of it, that's where you shred your cheese for your macaroni, right? The sides of it, you kind of get like weird slivers, almost slices of cheese. On the
I
other
got
side,
to love her.
you got the little bitty holes that kind of like protrude out. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yes, the grater.
they stick out. No, but wait. And then the other side on the back, then you have the fine grater. So you can
Okay.
either do the holes with the stick out, which takes a little bit of talent, or you can do the fine
We
grater.
should have had you doing a full class today on us being able to peel an orange because that is my favorite. Of course, we glow on champagne and conversations, right? So we glowing, we got to know how to be able to get the zest of that orange in your flavoring. It's a must.
So since we're talking about that, let's go back to the microplane, right? A lot
Okay.
of times when you have your microplane, so you see my hand, you take and you have your zester in one hand and you go across it like this, right? Like you have the microplane and you take your orange and you don't really look at it, you just do that. What
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest you do is hold your orange, take your microplane and go across the top.
Oh, look at that. We getting
Now,
fancy.
why am I doing that fancy? Because everything that you collect is going to be in that ridge of the microplane. You'll be able to see that the work you're doing. You'll be able to see what you're taking off of the orange and when you get to white. The other way around, you don't see that. And
I
then
love
when
it.
you're done, instead of everything falling underneath into whatever you're doing and you're not
Sure.
really able to accurately measure, it's all in that trowel instead. And then you can just swipe it on.
Culinary 101. Let's go, you guys. I
So
told
that's
you
what
I
I
was
want
going to
to
bring
call
you all
my
talking
Barbie
turkey.
basics. Barbie's
Yes.
got, oh, we want to
Well,
talk.
it's not really basic, but it's basic for the culinary thing. But we love it. So now, outside of the cranberry, what else do you guys typically have on your table during Thanksgiving?
So we have stuffing, which is not to be confused with dressing, because for our
Uh-oh.
house, a dressing is cornbread.
Okay.
So cornbread is dressing
Okay.
and stuffing is bread. Our stuffing usually always has sage sausage
Yes.
and the Trinity. No, not the Trinity. It's celery, onions, garlic. Okay,
That's
which is
it.
like the Trinity, but the
The
Trinity
Southern Trinity, anyway. Yes.
the Trinity. Okay, so celery, onions, garlic, then some more sage, bread, butter, and the turkey stock from the giblets. Because we
Or the
don't put
chicken broth.
or chicken broth or turkey broth because they make turkey broth now because it's 2020 and we can get a little bit of everything.
Yes. How about it? Uh-huh.
So, but in order to not, it's a nice reminder. You make yourself a little pot of giblet broth so you remember to take that bag out the inside of the turkey because we don't make no mistakes. And we also have learned through culinary safety that it's really not the safest to stuff our turkey with the stuffing. And the reason that we did do that was so that the juices would flavor the stuffing, they would have that turkey flavor. But we don't have to do that because we done made the broth and we can do that ahead on the side and in advance
Yes.
because
So
it
should you put anything in that cavity? An onion, an orange again? Anything should you put inside?
I prefer lemon.
Okay.
I prefer lemon
And
to
why?
because I like the flavor of lemon. It could be Meyer lemons. I usually do. I could do a little bit of everything from celery, onion, some bay leaves, the lemon, and then put those out also instead of a roasting pan, y'all. You don't have to have a roasting pan, but what you can do is you can peel yourself some carrots, leave your celery in stalks, wash them, please wash them. We wash our food. And then build a base with celery, carrots, onions. And instead of having a rack, a traditional rack, use those items as a rack. Okay. Now, if you do choose to stuff your turkey cavity with those things, now what we have to remember is that that still technically counts as a stuffing. So remove them as soon as you remove your turkey.
Okay.
And you still have to add cooking time because anything stuffed inside the turkey is going to add to your, or chicken is going to add to your cooking time.
Sure. Okay.
And before we even get to cooking, are we wet brining? Are we dry brining? How are we seasoning this bird? Now, I don't like dry turkey and I do like the white meat. So I usually prefer a brine.
You
Now,
do? I
I
don't like
do-
brine.
if it's done properly, I do
But
like.
let's tell them what brine is in case those that don't really get into that.
So a brine is, think of pickle juice. Think of what's in the jar when you buy your pickles, your chips or your spears. They're submerged in a pickling liquid, and that is essentially a brine, but that is an all salt brine. but that liquid is what flavors the pickles. So the pickling spice, the bay, the mustard seeds, the peppercorns, and all of that are concentrated to add flavor to those cucumbers. So a wet brine is salt and sugar typically, and any kind of spices, bay, salt, pepper, whatever you want to add to flavor your turkey, go into this hot liquid. You cool it down. Listen, don't nobody pour no hot nothing over top of the turkey and then
And
come
cook
back
it.
and say, but Chef Barbie said, no, I didn't. I'm telling you right now, I did not tell you to do that.
And
Cool
cook it.
it down and then submerge your turkey in it. Now, depending on the size of the turkey, it may take a little bit of time, but at least 24 hours, no more than 48.
Okay.
Okay, because we're talking about a whole animal, let's just say. Now, if you're doing parts,
Say
12,
that.
12 to 24 hours. If you do a whole turkey breast and you're just doing a turkey breast, don't do it for more than 24 hours. I actually prefer what's called a dry brine because I don't have space in my refrigerator with everything else that's going on inside of my turkey
Sure.
to store everything safely, or two refrigerators. Now, in a restaurant, I have a whole walk-in. We can do this in Cambros and all different kinds of things that we can submerge those turkeys, but at home you probably do not. So you take that turkey out, wash it, okay?
And wash your hands
Wash.
after you wash the turkey. Yes.
First off, wash your sink and then put your turkey in and wash it.
See, I never drop it in. I always put it in something and then wash that afterwards. I
And
can't
then
just do it
you could do
inside.
that too. You could
Yeah.
do that. If you have a stainless steel sink, you can wash the sink thoroughly and make sure you don't have nothing going on there. And then I take a lot of my approach to cooking is very Caribbean. So when I speak of washing proteins like a turkey, a little bit of vinegar, some water, wash it. Make sure you
Wash it.
take that bag out first. You want to take that bag out. That bag is for the stock. And put that aside. Take the neck out the other end because sometimes, you got the cavity, which is actually the booty end of the turkey. A lot of people don't even realize. And then you got the neck end, which is the little end. Okay, little end, right? The little end is the one with the flap that sometimes the neck
I
be
can't with her.
off. So you lift up both them flaps and you look and you make sure that both of those sections are empty. And
Mhm.
then with the dry brine, you're going to use ground spices. So whatever spices that you choose to use, grind them up with your salt, with your sugar, season your bird, put it in a big old bag, then slide it back in your refrigerator 24 to 40 hours in it, 8 hours in advance. And then you pull your bird out, let it come to room temperature. That bird should be out of the refrigerator.
Wait,
It's marinated.
temperature to cook it.
The temperature to cook it, I usually do about 325,
And
but
for how long?
it depends on the size of the turkey.
Okay.
All right. So now let's go back to pull the turkey out before you plan to cook it. Don't take the ice cold turkey and put it in the oven.
Okay.
Give it an hour or so to get a little bit closer to room temperature, even two. Two is fine. Two
Okay.
hours is fine. Slide your bird into a nice hot oven and just let it go. Just don't touch it. Now, some people's turkeys will have that little button that pops up
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's done. You got to wait till that pops up.
Do not take it out. Now, can you turn your oven up to 400, get your skin real brown and crispy, and then turn it down?
You can absolutely do that. Also, depending on the size of the turkey, your skin could get nice and brown and crispy just based on the time that it's going.
Okay. Okay.
So you could start with a hotter oven because the heat is going to leave the oven as soon as you open the door anyway, and then turn your oven down immediately so that it has time to balance. And then
Okay.
also, if your turkey is not as brown as you would like it to be when it comes out, crank it up, put it back in and let it brown a little bit more. You can turn the oven up. And then even more importantly, once you take that turkey out, do not take that turkey out of the oven, put it on a platter and start slicing into it. Don't do it. I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Because have you ever taken something hot out of somewhere? What happens? All of a sudden steam is there. Now, you see all of that steam, you take the lid off a pot, you see all of that steam, that is moisture escaping your food. So you take that turkey out of the oven and you start slicing into it and you see that steam pouring out of your turkey. You know what that is? That's your turkey drying out in front of your eyes. That's what that is. That is the dry. That
Turkey
is what
drying out in front of you.
that is the moisture rapidly escaping from your turkey before you
Dun,
have
dun, dun, dun. There's
I
Thanksgiving.
promise you, if you let that whole turkey sit there for 45 minutes to an hour, it will still be piping hot. It will still have a little bit of steam escape when you slice into it, but it will not be dry.
Yes.
What we do not want
Same
on the table, there
gravy.
is not enough
No
gravy
dry.
in the world that is going to save your your dry turkey.
Dry turkey.
Okay, listen. Now we know this for a fact, right? We know this that we have been to Thanksgiving dinners and the turkey has been dry, and will we come home and say even the gravy couldn't serve that, couldn't save that because it's
You
still like
looking for something else.
it's like chewing on sawdust with gravy.
Yes.
What we're supposed to do with it? Don't ruin the turkey. Please don't. We want our food coma.
Yes.
We want to be satisfied, and we also want white meat doesn't have to be dry and bland, y'all.
Sure.
We're not just going for the dark meat to be juicy. Those two parts of the animal do cook at a different time and different rate, but low and slow is the key to keeping everything moist because that breast is bigger than those thighs, but they're down so much lower that the breast is what gets the majority of the heat in the oven. There
Yes.
is science to this. See, listen, I just want everybody to know because one of my friends makes fun of me. I have an associate's degree in applied science. Cooking is chemistry. We don't just go out and say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna throw together some food. There is a science to this. And so I'm giving you the scientific approach without making it rocket science.
And we love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now,
That's
do you do any other meats during the Thanksgiving time than the turkey, or is that it?
really, it's all about the turkey. Sometimes we may do a roast beef, just to have something different. Some for my family, ham is always Christmas. Now, if we
Yes.
were going to do a pork, then we would do a standing pork loin roast. If I was going to do pork, I would stay away from ham because the next holiday is going to be ham. So, knowing that the next holiday is going to be ham, then I absolutely am not going to make ham on
Ham on
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Now,
Hmm.
if I do want to make pork, then I'll do a roast pork, but I'll do a savory roast pork as opposed to the ham. You know, get that pork loin with the bone in. With the bone in is real important. Okay.
Yes.
Because bones equal flavor. That's why we don't do a boneless ham at Christmas because we still want that flavor of that bone. Then we're gonna take that bone and make our pot of beans and some soup with the leftovers, right? Right? Because that's what.
No.
No.
No. We're not making
Yes.
no beans and no ham. No.
You wait. What?
No.
What about the lima beans, girl? The lima beans. Come on. You don't like beans? Listen, the song say I got beans,
Black beans.
potatoes, ham.
No, no. Black beans. I do eat those.
Okay,
Deep
well listen.
fried beans, but not lima.
Oh, I love.
Green beans. I do eat green beans.
Okay, well guess what? You can
Okay.
take that ham bone and you can put some chicken broth on it and throw your green beans in there and dice up some ham. You don't ever put ham or bacon in your green beans, girl. What do yes.
I don't eat pork, so
Uh,
none of that language
okay.
even matters.
So listen. All right. So you don't eat pork.
No, ma'am.
That explains a lot. Remember when I said about the stuffing?
She said that
Turkey
explains a lot. What does it say,
turkey
Barbie?
sausage. Turkey sausage you can substitute instead of pork
Okay.
sausage.
Yes.
Listen, everybody has something a different way of eating. I eat pork. It's all right. If you don't, I can also adjust. But wait, what we can't do on Turkey Day is not have turkey, but I kind of can because I can also make vegan food. There are certain things
Oh,
that
we are not doing that on Thanksgiving.
that's what we're not doing in this African American home. Let me tell
No, we
you.
are not going to do the vegan. I mean, we love vegan. I have tried some new vegan things and they're great and all of that. But the Thanksgiving tradition, we got to keep most of it. We're going to eliminate the gelatinous mess. We're going to eliminate the pork with those beans you were just talking about. And
That's
then we're just going to do like some whipped potatoes, some lobster mac. Can you do that?
We definitely can do the mashed potatoes because the mashed potatoes, everything that's on the side is complimentary, right? And so you have your standard carb bases, right? So you may have corn is usually on our Thanksgiving table. So we usually have a succotash, which is corn
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bacon.
Now I have beans in that. I will do that because that's close to,
Succotash,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
Even though I prefer like Brussels sprouts, but yeah.
no, we can have those too with
Yeah.
some red onion and some bacon and some balsamic vinegar.
Turkey,
Yeah,
bacon.
whatever kind of bacon you want, but a little bit of
Bacon, yeah.
meat is nice. It doesn't have to be. It can be vegetarian. Mashed potatoes. Let's talk about those mashed potatoes because I did post a link about where I talked
You
about.
did? Okay.
And the first thing that we actually have to talk about is the potato. Russet potatoes are not for mashed potatoes, y'all. They are a strictly roasting, frying potato. They will make
Russet is white, yellow potato or red?
russet is the big elongated,
Oh, the baked potato.
the big potato for baking and frying, roasting and frying. They have a very high starch content. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what you want to use those for. You want to add them to your stews. You can do that, but what you don't want to do is add them to a pot of water and then whip them up because you're gonna have yourself some good old-fashioned potato glue. You
Yes.
want to say
Starchy, yellowy, yes, sticky.
no,
No. So do we use the little small, cute, petite potatoes?
absolutely not. Nobody's
No.
going out buying fingerling potatoes, little cutesy ones. Those are also for roasting. Those are for
The
roasting.
little round, like red potatoes in the
Oh no,
bag?
those okay, they don't have to be round and that cute. They are a waxy potato, but you can use those.
Okay.
I usually use those for smashed potatoes because the skins are edible. And so you often see those used in restaurants for smashed
Yeah. I
potatoes.
had smash. I wasn't a fan of it, but I had
I'm
them.
not a fan of it either, but when it comes to balancing your diet, smashed potatoes are good for fiber, and there are a lot
Okay.
of nutritional content in and vitamins in the skin
Okay.
of potatoes. So a smashed potato is nice. It's not necessarily what I'm looking for on my Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, I
I'm
need
looking for
the real
Palms,
deal.
Palms puree. I'm looking for a nice, smooth, creamy mashed potato that I can put my spoon in and then pour my gravy in that. Okay,
Are
because
you whipping it with the blender?
no,
The
never in the
mash.
blender. Never, ever, ever in the blender. Maybe a hand mixer, even a
Okay.
hand mixer with the paddle attachment. Do not put the whip.
Well, I use the old fashioned, and I'm in there like this,
And I do that too. And then
despite what
you
people
gotta be in
I
there
can do
like
that
that, and
part.
then you still gotta hit it with that motion. You know what I'm talking about?
I need to get
That's
all the 2020 out. I know
right.
potatoes.
You first you beat it down, then you whip it
Yes,
up. That's
that's it.
how you want
Beat
to
it down and whip it up. That's
beat it
it.
down and whip it up. That's how you do with the little squiggly line mashed potato one. That's the one you got, the old fashioned, yeah.
Yes, the
So
old fashioned one.
what I
Ladies
like
and
to
gentlemen, Barbie Marshall, we do appreciate her coming and sharing her holiday tips. And before she gets away from us, we do want her to share your website, your social media, any of those things, because I'm certain that in all of this conversation, someone will have a mashed potato or even a ham question for you. So please give us your social media.
I'm at Barbie Marshall everywhere. So if you want to find me on Facebook, if you want to find me on Instagram, on Twitter, I'm at Barbie Marshall. Now, here's the thing. I try to give everybody a full disclaimer. My DMs are for work only. Don't be sliding in my DMs. Nothing else.
So can you come cook my dinner?
Okay, that's work. That is
Maybe.
work. That is work.
She got to wear a mask because she said she's
I
not
am.
going to people's homes right
I
now.
am. I'm aware mask. You might even be able to pick up dinner from my location if.
Okay.
However, I feel like I have to tell people because every once in a while I'll be getting those. So you are so cute messages.
Oh,
I promise you, I know how social media works, and I'll shuffle you to another folder, and you never find out about
that
it.
is too cute. Now, are you doing prepackaged meals or have you done prepackaged meals since COVID?
I have, and I feel a whole lot more comfortable doing those.
Okay.
You
But
know,
are you going to do those for the holiday? I mean, obviously we're 24, 48 hours away, but you would do those? Okay.
I would do those, and I would even consider shipping them safely.
Oh,
So
nice. Oh, so you all better get to it because some of the other places you have to really plan ahead. So that was nice. I wish I had known. I would have had you do mine. Maybe it's not too late.
it's too late.
Oh, it's too late for me?
It's
Oh,
Tuesday. It's Tuesday, and I'm traveling. Remember?
it's okay. I'll have all the ingredients there by the time you arrive, and then you could just ship it back. I don't have to do any of it.
I feel like, aren't you in the DMV? I done already drove past you.
I know, but you didn't tell me, so I didn't know, right?
And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm like COVID sensitive, so I really would not.
We good. We're good in here. What you see is what you get, so it's good. Thank you so much for joining us on Champagne and Conversations, Barbie. We do thank you for your time, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy holidays to you and your family. And we will definitely probably bring you back for the holiday Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah and be able to talk about the ham with the bone, maybe.
Owning. There are a lot of things that we can talk about, especially for Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa holiday is our holiday.
Okay, well, we will make that a date. Yes.
All right. Thank
Cheers
you.
to you. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you.
Cheers.